Hello, hello. Welcome to Tea with Druids, session 203, brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. This is Philip Carr-Gomm here. Very good to see you here. Very good to see everyone arriving from as far away as County Clare and Princeton and New York and North Carolina and Brittany and Limerick and Dartmoor and Suffolk and many other places too. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. It's a stormy night. I don't know whether you can hear. If I'm quiet, can you hear the rain on the roof there and outside? And there's wind and there's rain, and it's kind of been like this most of the day. Not so bad as this evening. But I hope that whatever the weather is like where you are, that you've had a good Christmas, a good Yule, a good solstice. We've had a good Christmas here with the family, and watched some interesting. We saw a film last night, Don't Look Up, on Netflix, created by Leonardo DiCaprio. My God, that's good. I won't say anything about it because it's very unusual, but it's good. Don't Look Up. Apparently it's had bad reviews, but they're wrong. It's just very powerful, I think. The Power of the Dog with Benedict Cumberbatch. That's a difficult film, difficult to watch for me anyway, just because it's so intense. But Benedict Cumberbatch is such an incredible actor, and the theme is so extraordinary. It's not at all what it appears to be. It starts off as a sort of cowboy movie, and I'm not particularly interested in cowboy movies, so I didn't really want to watch it, to tell you the truth. But there are twists and turns. It becomes a very different film, and in fact, it's a puzzling ending that you might end up having to Google to find out exactly what happened at the end. Worth watching if you like a deep, perhaps rather dark and difficult film, but strong. And while we're talking about the TV and films, I just want to credit Schitt's Creek for having seen me through the difficult time that I've had the last few weeks with my mum dying. It's a comedy, a long-running comedy. It's in 6 series, little short 20-minute episodes that I was recommended, a few years ago, and I watched it, and it wasn't my thing. It didn't seem particularly funny, and I wasn't interested in it. But I have to say that in these difficult times, when the only thing you feel you can do is just wrap up in a duvet with a mug of hot chocolate and watch something that is warm and feel good, I suppose is the way you describe it. It's funny. It's got a very, very sensitive portrayal of a gay relationship, which is really nice to see. And you get to love all the characters in it, and you get to know them. And so I'm getting near the end of the 6th series, so I'm going to be sad when it comes to an end. And because the episodes are short, just 20 minutes, you can binge watch it really easily. Lauren's saying she watched Don't Look Up today, and it's very clever and a good reflection of modern society. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it's lovely to see everybody here, and I've decided that this should be the last episode of Tea with Druids, if not forever, certainly for a while. Perhaps it'll be reborn in another form, but endings are always hard. But I think when something comes to an end, there's also a kind of liberation in that. And one of the ways that we have in paganism and in Druidry of seeing life in circles and seeing life as cyclical means that we don't see things in straight lines. And it's not like something begins and it ends and just finishes in that way. That somehow there's some kind of meaningful completion of cycles and then rebirth in other forms and so on. So although there's a kind of sadness in having come to that decision for me, I also think that there's also some potential for rebirth, or some the Tea with Druids coming out in a different format later on. But in order for something new to arise, the old has to die. And so I just wanted to sort of look back, just briefly, just having a look at. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about this series, because 4 years ago I had no idea that this kind of thing of streaming existed, and now about 5,000 people watch it a week. There's about 300 to 400 people watch it live in the moment, and it all happened 4 years ago when Dave the Bard and I were talking with Stephanie in the office just after the Christmas break. Kind of this time, the office had been closed over Christmas and the solstice period and the New Year, so we were back together in January, beginning of January, and we just had a kind of blue skies open conversation. What's the coming year going to look like? What should we do? And Dave the Bard said to me, "Why don't you try some live streaming?" And I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. And he explained it to me and said, you should try it. It's fun. So I tried one episode. And I called it Tea with Philip at that time. And it was just a one-off. I did it back in December. I see it was December. Oh, well. Well, maybe we had this conversation in December. I don't know. Maybe it was just after the solstice. I don't know. And December 2017. Maybe we did it after Samhain. Maybe we were reviewing the year after Samhain. So I tried it out, and I just felt this sense of connection with everybody. And I spent ages wondering whether it was some kind of illusion, because I am sitting on my own here in this room, as far as I can tell. But there was this real sense of connection with everybody, and then this lovely, and so it carried on. And by four months later, by episode 16, I wanted to let go of my name and make it Tea with a Druid, so that I could invite other Druids in. And when guests came, people weren't surprised that they weren't Philip, if you see what I mean. So we had guests. It became Tea with a Druid 4 months later, and then in September this year, I changed it to Tea with Druids, because I realized that it's not only the presenters who are Druids, but a lot of the audience, not all of the audience by any means, but a lot of the audience as well. And so I thought, let's just widen the circle and call it Tea with Druids. Tea with the Druid always sort of stuck with me somehow. It was just familiarity, I think. So it was hard to sometimes say Tea with Druids, but whatever. So that's it. So there have been 203 episodes. And the thing about them is, they're all up there. The easiest way to look at old episodes, but like going through, it's not as funny as Schitt's Creek, but like going through a series that's already been recorded, you've got 203 up there. And the easiest way, the most organized way to see them is on my YouTube channel, Philip Carr-Gomm YouTube channel. And they're all organized from 1 to 203. So that's the kind of quick overview of the story of this series. And of course, if we look at the last 4 years, so much has happened in these last 4 years in our own lives, in the outside world, with the pandemic and with all sorts of stuff happening in the world. And what has been fantastic has been the sense of support from you as participants. I have never felt that I'm here and there's an audience out there. It doesn't feel like an audience. It feels like that we're all together, that we're all sitting in the circle. It helps being a Druid because I've sat in lots of circles in real life, as it were, around a fire, sharing stories and sharing music and song and poetry and all the rest of it, and sitting outside in nature and being with people. And it's always felt like that even though Slane says, is he splitting, leaving Obod? No, I'm not leaving Obod. I'm just saying, Slane, that just for the moment, I'm finishing this series of Tea with the Druid as a project. Been going for 4 years, so that's what I'm talking about. There'll be the 203 episodes available for you to look at on the YouTube channel. There's Ema is carrying on with her weekly conversations with members of the Order. Dave's Druid cast is coming out every month, and I was saying, that I think we've all been in it together, and also the contributors. What's been amazing is whenever I haven't been able to do a session for whatever reason, whether I've been traveling or just haven't felt up to it, or something's happened, or I've just felt like it's time for another face to be here. There's been this great bunch of people, too many to name, but a whole bunch of guests, presenters, and I'd like to thank them all formally now. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave, for suggesting this whole project. Thank you to those who have created these. There have been a number of little intro films that have been created. Thank you to all of those who've made these intro films. Thank you to Charlie, our daughter, for making this mug that, you can't, yeah, here we go. She gave me this mug last Christmas. And when I told her this evening that I was going to stop doing this series, she said, "Oh, Dad, you've never even used your mug. You've always used a different mug." And so now I'm using this mug with a thank you to her. Yeah. So, and thank you for these lovely comments. Thank you so much for your lovely comments, over the time that my mum was ill and then when she died. But, it's so heartening because, when you do this stuff, you kind of are on your own in this room. Like when you're a writer, you are on your own typing away. And, that's why it's lovely for a writer to get emails and comments and stuff like that. People often start a letter to a writer or an email to a writer saying, I know you must be very busy, and they feel like, I don't want to disturb you, But the reality is, I think, 99% of writers just love hearing from readers, because it's just so nice to, and occasionally I've had lovely moments of people bumping into me in the street. I remember sitting in a restaurant in Victoria Station and sitting on one of those counters across the window pane, eating my soup or whatever it was. And this young couple walking past the window, looking at the window, carrying on, stopping, and then coming back, looking, and then coming into the restaurant and saying, "Hey, you do Tea with the Druid? We like." It's really sweet. That was really lovely. So, so all that has been really supportive, and your comments. I've always had this lovely ritual of coming back and reading the comments afterwards and all the rest of it, and I've had this kind of intuition or sense of this coming to an end for a while, and I've been reluctant to, because of the lovely comments of people saying things like, "Through the pandemic, it's really helped me, and it's way of beginning my week and settling down," and so on. And so I felt bad about suggesting that we finish and all the rest of it. But in the end, you have to go with your intuition, I think, and what feels right. And I want to focus on some writing. And I want to incubate. An incubation requires turning in. And I used to say, well, I can kind of pop out, once a week and say hi and do a little talk and a meditation and pop back in again. But nevertheless, there's this strong need, I feel, to just not have this outlet, so that the sort of energy can, go in and, but, I'm fickle, and I'm quite capable of bouncing, like in the spring or the summer, saying, "Oh my God, what did I do? I miss everybody. I want to be back." So somebody's talking about just making a mug. I've just made myself a mug for these teas. Is there a way I can send you a picture of it? Yes, it's just philip@druidry.org. That's it, philip@druidry.org. Yeah, there's some lovely, lovely comments. So that's very sweet. Um, and I engage, and I recognize so many names because I engage with you also in the various online courses that I do through the Art of Living Well, and through the Order as well. I'm still very much involved in the work of the Order, and we've got all sorts of lovely plans for the future, for the coming year in that. And we're having the big summer gathering in Glastonbury, and so on and so on. So Gabriella saying you can brand the mugs. I like merchandise. I want to buy them. Okay. So hey, listen. So here's one of the lovely features of Druidry, which is the Eisteddfod. And I'm going to stop reading the comments. They're so touching. Thank you so much. I will come back and read them, and all of them afterwards. Yes, one of a beautiful feature of Druidry is the way poetry and story and song and music is folded into ritual and meditation. It's like a beautiful recipe. It's like we all know how good it is to meditate and how wonderful it is to drop into the silence and to just go deep in meditation. We all know that. We all know how good ritual can be, like the very conscious, deliberate enactment of particular gestures or ritual acts that make the moment special and make us more mindful and open us to the numinous. We all know that. We all know how poetry and music and song and story can do those same things. So what do Druids do? Druids are greedy, so they put them all together. They do a ritual. They enter into meditation. They sing songs. They read poems. They recite poems. They tell stories. So I won't sing or play music. What I'll do is I'll read a couple of poems in a meditative way, in a meditation that we can have together. So let's make this our meditation together. So let's all get this sense of ourselves now. There are about 350 of us all around the world now, from New Zealand, way down in the southern hemisphere, right the way across all over the United States, all over Britain, and up in Iceland, and across in Italy, and all sorts of places, France and so on. Portugal, yeah. And so, although we're physically spread apart, at this precise time at 8:20 p.m. GMT on the 27th of December 2021, all our consciousnesses, all our minds are somehow together, connected in some way through the great web of consciousness aided by the internet. But it's a matter of consciousness at its fundamental level. And so we're all together in consciousness. So let's imagine now that we're in a physical place together. Let's imagine that we're just coming through the trees, if we're not already there, coming into this beautiful clearing in the forest, this sacred grove, beloved of Druids, this place where we can connect to the earth and to the sky and to the trees around us. Feels so good to be here. And as we step into the circle, you just find a place in the circle, in the sacred grove, where you feel comfortable. Maybe there's a log that's conveniently there for you to sit on. Maybe there's a tree trunk that's lying on its side, and a number of fellow companions have already sat down on this trunk, but there's room for you too, so you can sit down. Or maybe you're sitting on pine needles on the ground. There might even be a very convenient little stone that you can lean your back against really comfortably. Or maybe you're leaning against a tree trunk. And you just close your eyes for a moment, just letting go of your everyday sense of your surroundings. Just becoming aware, more aware of being seated here in this circle. And you feel the earth beneath you. And you feel the life in this earth. And you notice there are two kind of energies here. There's the energy of a kind of vibrant life that's alive, the little creatures in the earth, the moisture, the energy that's coming from the rocks and the crystals and the minerals, all this life. And there's also a kind of sleepy, dormant energy as well, so much more. Seeds that are in the soil that aren't yet ready to sprout, aren't yet ready to start growing, but are just sitting tight in the earth. What a peaceful feeling. And you just become aware of yourself and your own energy field and how you feel. It's kind of the same thing perhaps with you, maybe. A sense of energy and vitality, a sense of groundedness, a sense of being in connection with the earth. And at the same time, a kind of sleepy sense of dormant energy. An energy you know will begin to blossom perhaps in the spring, sometime in the future, just when the time's right. But in the meantime, it's just gently and quietly resting within your energy field. And you breathe in deeply and you breathe out deeply, and you become aware of the trees as well. You become aware of your brothers and sisters, the trees, their roots deep in the soil, their trunks rising high into the sky, their branches, their leaves or lack of leaves. And you become aware too of how they're both vibrant and filled with energy and life. And perhaps a little sleepy too in this time of the winter solstice, just past, just moving towards the end of December. And then you become aware of the sky above you. And you breathe in the energy of the sky and the vitality and clarity of the energy of the sky flows into your being with your in-breath. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And then sitting in the circle, you become aware that you're in this circle of fellow companions. And to the degree that you choose to, if you want to, you just become aware of this sense of community, of fellow beings, of humans, of plants. Maybe there are some animals here too, some birds in the branches, or some creatures who've come to join us, to sit quietly with us in the circle. If you've ever meditated outside, or even done a ritual outside, you might have found animals coming up close. An Obod group in Australia once had kangaroos gently walking closer and closer to their circle. So maybe there's some animals here, maybe even spirits from the other world, our friends on the other side. And then you remember that somebody had said there was going to be some poetry, that we're moving into the time of Eisteddfod in this Druid gathering. And so just resting quietly in this forest clearing, in this sacred grove. You just listen to the poetry. Births by Pablo Neruda. We will never have any memory of dying. We were so patient about our being, noting down numbers, days, years and months, hair and the mouths we kiss. And that moment of dying we let pass without a note. We leave it to others as memory, or we leave it simply to water, to air, to time. Nor do we even keep the memory of being born. Although to come into being was tumultuous and new. And now you don't remember a single detail and haven't even kept a trace of your first light. It's well known that we are born. It's well known that in the room or in the wood or in the shelter in the fisherman's quarter or in the rustling cane fields, there is a quite unusual silence, a grave and wooden moment as a woman prepares to give birth. It's well known that we were all born. But of that abrupt translation from not being to existing, to having hands, to seeing, to having eyes, to eating and weeping and overflowing and loving and loving and suffering and suffering, of that transition, that quivering of an electric presence, raising up one body more like a living cup, and of that woman left empty, the mother who is left there in her blood and her lacerated fullness, and its end and its beginning and disorder tumbling the pulse, the floor, the covers, till everything comes together and adds one knot more to the thread of life. Nothing remains in your memory of the savage sea which summoned up a wave and plucked a shrouded apple from the tree. The only thing you remember is your life. And then the poem Daydream by the poet A.S.J. Tessimond. One day, people will touch and talk, perhaps easily, and loving be natural as breathing and warm as sunlight. And people will untie themselves as string is unknotted, unfold and yawn and stretch and spread their fingers, unfurl, uncurl like seaweed returned to the sea. And work will be simple and swift like a seagull flying. And play will be casual and quiet as a seagull settling. And the clocks will stop, and no one will wonder or care or notice. And people will smile without reason, even in the winter, even in the rain. And so poetry needs silence. Just as it needs the words and then it needs silence. And the words can just sink in, and our minds can try and grasp the meaning, but we know we can't get it all. And so there's a delicious way in which the meaning kind of slips between our fingers like sand or earth running between our fingers back down into the earth. And we can let the poems just drop into the earth of our soul, where we know our soil will be enriched as a result. Because we know too that it's not only earth or sand that's dropping through our fingers, it's seeds as well that will germinate. So now our meditation comes to an end, and we become aware of being in the grove. We might like to take the hand of the person to the left of us and the person to the right of us, and just sensing that Druid prayer, or saying that Druid prayer, we swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand. Mark, O Spirit, and hear us now, confirming this, our sacred vow. And then a squeeze to the hand either side of you, a sense of connection and community. And then we let go of the hands and we place our hands on the soil, and we feel our love for the earth, our home. May the earth be blessed. May the land be blessed. And then moving our hands up to our hearts, we place our hands on our hearts, feeling our love for ourselves, for all life. May our lives be blessed. May all lives be blessed. May the land be blessed. A blessing on our lives, a blessing on the land. And with that, you allow your awareness of being seated in the sacred grove to gently fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your computer, in front of your screen, here and now. And feeling fully present here and now. We finish our tea. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching and listening, whether you're doing it live now or whether you happen to be watching a recording. I very much look forward to interacting with you in other ways, and have a wonderful year. May 2022 be a really special, beautiful year for you, and lots of love and many blessings. And I look forward to reading your comments once I've made a cup of tea in the mug that Charlie gave me. Okay, blessings, much love, and bye.